My child, stay right here. Don't rush. Don't skip. Don't push this away. Because this moment, this message, this warning mixed with comfort, was placed in front of you on purpose. Nothing about this is random. Something surrounds your son right now, not to destroy him, but to awaken you. Heaven chose to speak before anything else could move. God always arrives ahead of danger. He speaks before storms. He warns before trouble. He covers before attacks begin. And that is why you are here. My child, in the spirit I saw a woman. Not loud. Not dramatic. Not the kind who argues or shouts. On the outside she looks normal. Calm. Maybe even kind. But inside she has carried jealousy like poison. And jealousy, when it sits too long, becomes something darker. For years she has watched your son grow. Watched favor follow him. Watched opportunities find him. She wondered, why him? Why not me? And instead of healing her heart, she fed her bitterness. But listen carefully. Her bitterness does not have authority. Her plans do not hold power. Her intentions cannot rewrite what heaven has written. Still, I must explain the truth, gently and wisely. She went to a quiet place, away from eyes, and bought a coffin. Not to bury a body. Not to harm flesh. But to bury blessing. To symbolically seal destiny. To close doors before they open. To trap purpose before it fully awakens. Because some people believe that if they bury the symbol of someone's future, they can bury the future itself. But she forgot something. You cannot bury what God has chosen to rise. You cannot close what God commands to open. You cannot silence what heaven has planned to speak. Her intention was not a physical attack, it was an attempt to spiritually limit your son. To create delay. To bring confusion. To make him question himself. To disconnect him from purpose. But my child. She is too late. Heaven spoke first. Light arrived before darkness. Grace stepped in before fear could grow. And that is why you're hearing these words. Not to panic you. Not to scare you. But to position you. Because you, not she, have the final say. Your love carries authority. Your prayers carry weight. Your voice reaches places her envy never will. My child, listen slowly. Spiritual battles don't always look like battles. Sometimes they appear as disappointment. Closed opportunities. Sudden heaviness. Unexplained sadness. Unexpected tension between loved ones. They creep in quietly, hoping no one notices. But tonight, heaven made sure you noticed. Not because disaster is coming, but because redemption is coming instead. I want you to understand this clearly. The coffin she bought was measured, crafted, and prepared as a symbol. She intended it to hold your child's progress, his confidence, his joy, his sense of direction. She wanted to control something that doesn't belong to her. But nothing created out of envy survives long. Everything built in darkness collapses under light. And tonight, light is speaking. Your son is not meant for decline. He is not meant for confusion. He is not meant for a future buried in fear. He is meant for growth. For influence. For strength. For testimony. And you were chosen to guard that story. My child, perhaps lately you have felt uneasy. Maybe your heart sensed something was off. Maybe you had dreams. Maybe your mind replayed worries about him. That wasn't anxiety. It was spiritual intuition. God nudging you saying, stay alert. Not afraid. Just aware. Because when a parent prays, heaven listens. And when heaven listens, mountains move. I know questions fill your heart. Who is this woman? Why target my son? Why now? The truth is simple, your son carries promise, and promise attracts jealousy. But jealousy will never outrun divine protection. Even before she planned, angels were already standing watch. Even before she moved, God positioned people, moments, and shields. Nothing surprises the one who sees all. My child, I want you to picture something. See your son laughing freely. See him walking confidently. See him building, working, succeeding. See peace surrounding him. That picture, that future, is real. It already exists in God's timeline. And nothing anyone tries to bury will reach it. The coffin does not hold power. Her ritual holds no final authority. God did not give creation permission to rewrite his promise. But tonight matters because agreement matters. Will your heart agree with fear? Or will your heart agree with faith? Heaven waits for your answer, not because God is unsure, but because love invites participation. You are not a helpless parent watching from the outside. You are a guardian placed on the front line with divine backup. And heaven backs you completely. So tonight, not in anger, not in hatred, not even thinking about her, we stand in prayer, love, peace, and firm trust. We do not curse. We do not panic. We do not wage war like people in darkness. We simply call on the one who has never failed. Because one whisper from God outweighs 1,000 schemes from man. My child, before we pray, I want to speak to your personal heart. You have carried silent worries. You have cried privately. You have asked God, why does it feel like I'm always fighting for my family? And heaven answers gently, because you were chosen as the protector. Not chosen to struggle, chosen to cover, to discern, to intercede. God trusted you with influence over your child's story. And you have not failed. In fact, your presence here proves your heart is listening. Now let us walk gently into prayer. Not ancient because it's hidden, but powerful because faith makes it powerful. Say it quietly, calmly, believing every word. God, I bring my son into your hands tonight. Where I cannot go, you go. Where I cannot see, you see. Cover him. Guide him. Surround him. Any plan meant to limit him, dissolve it. Any attempt to cage his purpose, remove it. Let his mind stay clear. Let his heart stay strong. Let his future stay aligned with you. And give me peace, knowing you are in control. My child, heaven honors such prayers. They do not vanish. They do not fade. They move. And right now, as you read, something begins shifting, slowly, quietly, safely. What was meant to symbolically bury will instead be exposed as empty, powerless, ineffective. The woman who planned will encounter roadblocks she cannot explain. Her confidence will turn uneasy. Her desire to manipulate will weaken. Not because harm returns to her, but because truth dismantles deception. God does not need revenge to prove authority. He simply reminds darkness it has limits. Your son remains under covenant protection, not because danger never approaches, but because danger never finishes. God intercepts. Again and again and again. And he will continue to intercept. My child, there is another part you need to hear, one that brings peace to your heart, not fear. This season is not about attack. This season is about awakening. God is awakening your prayer life, your discernment, your authority. He is inviting you to participate in miracles, not just watch them. You are growing stronger. Your spirit is becoming sharper. Your awareness is becoming clearer. And every time you trust instead of panic, the enemy loses ground. Soon, you will look back on this season and say, I didn't break. I became wiser. And your son will walk in blessings, not buried, but blooming. Doors will open. Mentors will appear. New opportunities will come. And every delay will make sense. Because none of it was punishment, it was protection. God was rerouting, preserving, strengthening. And now, He gently whispers, do not fear this night. Rest. Your son is mine. And what is mine cannot be stolen. So sleep peacefully. Wake with hope. Walk with assurance. Heaven is not just watching, heaven is actively involved. And from this moment forward, speak life over your child daily. Say, my son is covered. My son is blessed. My son will fulfill his destiny. Because life responds to declaration. And tonight, everything begins shifting toward light. The story does not end in darkness. It unfolds into purpose. And my child, the best chapters have not even started yet. My child, let us walk a little further together. Because what God is doing in your life, and in your son's life, is bigger than this one night, bigger than this one warning, and bigger than anything someone could ever try to bury. This isn't just protection. This is preparation. Heaven isn't only blocking danger. Heaven is building destiny. And often, before a destiny opens, God allows us to become aware of unseen battles, not so we fear them, but so we learn how protected we truly are. You see, my child, your son was never meant to live a small life. He carries dreams inside him, even dreams he has not spoken out loud. Maybe he feels confused sometimes. Maybe he questions himself. Maybe he wonders if he is good enough. But God already wrote chapters where your son stands confident, walking with purpose, discovering who he truly is. And when God writes chapters, no one edits them. Not jealousy. Not bitterness. Not hidden plans. Not spiritual confusion. Nothing. Still, growth often begins in silence. Sometimes God pulls certain people away from your child. Sometimes He closes doors suddenly. Sometimes He delays opportunities. And while it feels painful in the moment, heaven knows what it is saving him from. There were places your son could have gone that would have hurt him deeply. There were friendships God blocked because they carried hidden motives. There were choices your son thought he wanted, but God said, no, something better is coming. And better always takes longer than temporary. My child, I want you to think about something gently. How many times in your life did you think, this door closing is the worst thing that could happen? Yet later, you realized it was protection. God works like that. Quiet. Subtle. Loving. Wise. And now, the same covering wraps your son. Even when he feels alone, he is surrounded. Even when he feels weak, heaven is strong for him. Even when he makes mistakes, God uses them as lessons, not life sentences. That is the beauty of divine love. It doesn't abandon when we stumble. It teaches. It guides. It gently reminds, you still belong. You still have purpose. My child, I know you worry, because loving deeply comes with concern. But God is inviting you to replace worry with trust. When worry speaks, it says, "What if something goes wrong?" When trust speaks, it answers, "Even if storms come, God is already inside them." That is the difference. Faith doesn't pretend trouble never tries to appear. Faith simply believes, God always arrives earlier than trouble. And tonight is proof. The enemy didn't show you a coffin. God showed you what was attempted so he could remind you, it will not work. And now, I want to show you something else, something beautiful. Your son has warriors around him. Yes, real, assigned, divine guardians. Not the kind from stories, the kind heaven places around those who carry calling. They stand when he sits. They walk when he travels. They listen when he sleeps. They are not waiting for danger. They are always guiding away from danger before it forms. Many times, your son escaped what he never even knew was forming. Because angels move before explanations appear. And they are still moving. But my child, angels don't replace parents. They work with faithful parents. That is why your voice matters. When you speak blessings over your son, angels echo them. When you speak peace, they carry it. When you pray protection, they enforce it. Your words don't vanish. Your prayers never dissolve. They live, and they work. That is why tonight, heaven reminded you, use your voice again. Not in fear. Not in shouting. Not in panic. But in calm, steady, unshakable faith. Now listen, my child, I need to address something gently. This woman who tried to symbolically bury your son's future. She is not your enemy. Her wounds are. Her pain, her jealousy, her insecurity, her unresolved bitterness, those things guided her choices. Somewhere in her past, she believed lies about herself, that she wasn't enough. That she would always be overlooked. That others succeeding meant she was failing. Those lies hardened her heart. So instead of healing, she tried to control. But God does not punish broken hearts, He exposes deception so healing can begin. And yes, her plan will collapse. Her ritual will empty. Her intention will dissolve. Not so she suffers, but so she learns there is no need to compete with someone who is protected. God's desire is not to destroy her, but to stop harm and invite transformation. And tonight, He is doing both. My child, something else is happening that you may not see yet. God is quietly lifting your son into new seasons. People who misunderstood him will see his value. Those who underestimated him will be surprised. Doors he thought were closed forever will open in unexpected ways. Confidence will return. Creativity will awaken. New opportunities will call his name. Because God never reveals danger unless breakthrough is near. Breakthrough follows awareness. And awareness came tonight, wrapped gently in this message. Now I want you to do something small, but powerful. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just sincerely. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, "My child belongs to God. His destiny is safe. His path is guided. His future is blessed." Feel the peace that follows? That peace is not imagination. It is the sign that heaven agrees. My child, the story isn't over. In fact, the story is only now beginning. From this moment forward, stop speaking fear. Stop imagining worst-case outcomes. Stop rehearsing possible tragedies. And start speaking life. Because whatever you feed grows. Feed faith, and faith becomes strength. Each day, when you think of your son, say, "He will live fully. He will rise strongly. He will fulfill his calling." And you will watch those words shape reality. God has never failed a parent who brings their child to him, and he won't start now. Rest peacefully tonight. Release every fear. Let your mind quiet. Because heaven has taken over the night watch. Your son is escorted, protected, loved, covered. And you are doing better than you think. You did not arrive here by coincidence. You arrived because heaven wanted to whisper, "It's handled." Stay in faith. I am with you. And truly, my child, the most beautiful part of the story is still on its way. My child, let us continue this journey together, gently, slowly, with understanding. Because when God begins speaking, he does not only warn. He teaches. He strengthens. He prepares the heart for what comes next. And there is something important you must know: your son is stepping into a season of alignment. Alignment means this: the right people will meet him. The right ideas will come to him. The right opportunities will recognize him. Not forced. Not rushed. Not manipulated. Naturally, like rivers finding the right course. Sometimes life feels like wandering, like walking without a map. But in truth, God has been arranging things behind the scenes long before you saw any sign of progress. Opportunities are being shaped right now that your son doesn't even know exist yet. He may think he is waiting, but heaven is preparing. And preparation takes time, patience, and quiet trust. My child, I want you to picture a seed planted deep in the soil. Above the ground, nothing looks different. No plant. No growth. No sign of change. But underground? Roots are spreading. Strength is forming. Foundation is being made. And when the time is right, the seed doesn't just grow, it flourishes. Your son is like that seed. People may not fully see who he is becoming, not yet. Even he may not fully see himself clearly. But God sees the roots forming. God sees character developing. God sees wisdom growing quietly inside him. And when the right moment comes, it will show. Not because someone forced him to change, but because he finally stepped into the life written for him. My child, sometimes storms come not to destroy trees, but to shake off dead branches that no longer serve them. In the same way, there were relationships, habits, environments, and attachments that could not go with your son into his future. They had to fall away, even if it hurt. Separation isn't always rejection. Sometimes separation is protection. Think about it. There were people around him who smiled, but spoke against him privately. People who appeared supportive, but secretly hoped he failed. People who laughed with him, but didn't wish him well. And gently, without loud drama, God began removing them. Not because your son is perfect, but because he is chosen for more than smallness. And God protects chosen lives from silent sabotage. My child, hear this truth: every great destiny attracts resistance before it blossoms. And the very fact there was resistance means there is greatness ahead. Darkness does not fight emptiness. It only fights what carries potential. That is why heaven takes extra care over your son. Now listen. This woman who tried to symbolically bury his blessings, her act came from envy. But envy always loses when confronted with surrender and prayer. She imagined control. But God reminded her. Gently, firmly, human hands cannot hold divine plans. And soon, she will step back. Not publicly. Not dramatically. Quietly. Because when spiritual resistance meets divine truth, it melts. And now, something far more beautiful begins. Your son is entering a phase of awakening identity. What does that mean? It means he will start recognizing his strengths. He will understand his worth. He will stop comparing himself to others. He will stop believing lies about his future. Confidence will not be pride, it will be clarity. Peace will not be laziness, it will be trust. He will begin seeing life differently. He will begin seeing himself differently. Conversations will guide him. Encounters will shape him. Moments will open his eyes. One day soon, it will feel like something clicked inside him, and the confusion lifted. That moment won't be magic. It will be maturity, mixed with God's guidance. And you, my child, will witness it. You will see your son smiling again. Thinking clearly again. Standing stronger again. And your heart will whisper, "Thank you, God, I waited, and you answered." My child, I also want to speak softly to your own wounds. Because sometimes, while you focus so much on your children, you forget you are also a soul who needs healing. You've carried regrets. You've replayed old decisions. You've wondered, did I fail somewhere? Could I have done more? And heaven says gently, no. You did the best you knew at the time, and I honor that. Your love was real. Your effort was sincere. Your tears were seen. And what you could not do, God is completing. Stop blaming yourself for every difficult moment. Stop carrying guilt for every mistake. Healing begins when you forgive yourself. You are learning. You are growing. You are becoming wiser. And God smiles at your journey, not with disappointment, but with compassion. My child, lean in a little closer. There will come a season when your son will talk to you differently. He will open his heart more. He will share thoughts he once kept hidden. Not because you forced him, but because he will finally feel safe enough inside himself. Healing creates honesty. And the bond between you will strengthen, not through control, but through understanding. One day, he may say, "I didn't realize how much you were protecting me back then. Thank you." That day is coming. Slowly. Quietly. Beautifully. Because God is not only protecting his life, he is restoring relationship, rebuilding connection, strengthening family unity. And unity is powerful. A united house is difficult to disturb. A praying home is hard to infiltrate. And your home, even if imperfect, is watched over carefully. Now, before we close this part of the journey, I want you to reflect. Tonight, you did not panic. You did not collapse into fear. You leaned into faith. That is spiritual maturity. And heaven celebrates growth. My child, remember this always: coffins are made for endings, but your son's story is only at the beginning. What others thought they could bury is what God intends to raise higher. So rest now. Release anxiety. Hold peace close. Tomorrow carries new grace. Next week carries unexpected favor. Next season carries transformation. And as you continue walking with God, you will see miracles not as rare events, but as natural outcomes of faith. The journey continues, and every step is guided. My child, now that we have walked through truth, understanding, comfort, and awakening together, it is time for the final part. Not the final part of danger. Not the final part of worry. but the final part of clarity. Because once a heart truly understands that God is involved, fear loses its voice completely. And right now, heaven doesn't just want to protect your son, heaven wants to settle your soul. You have lived many days carrying tension. Thinking ahead, worrying ahead, planning for storms that never came. You didn't do this because you are weak. You did it because you care deeply. But God is inviting you to finally release control and walk beside Him instead of walking ahead of Him. My child, listen gently. Life becomes lighter when you remember you are not the only one watching your family. God watches too. And He watches from a higher place, with clearer eyes, and with limitless love. He sees conversations you never hear. He sees traps before they form. He sees emotional struggles, silent tears, unspoken fears, and He steps in. Not always loudly. Not always dramatically. Often quietly, in ways no one notices, but everything changes. That is how God wins battles, not with noise, but with wisdom. My child, your son will one day understand something powerful. All those times I thought I was unlucky. I was actually being saved. And you will see memories differently too. Moments you thought were delays, were moments God was buying time to protect him. Times it felt like everything paused, were seasons where God healed things you couldn't see. That is divine love. Never rushed. Never careless. Always intentional. My child, as we close this message, I want you to imagine something peaceful, your son walking down a bright path. Beautiful trees around him. A calm wind. A sense of direction in his eyes. He is not looking back. He is not trapped by regret. He is not buried by fear. He is moving forward, wisely, confidently, protected. And beside the path? You. Not forcing. Not dragging. Not panicking. Just walking, gently, praying, trusting, knowing, God has him. Truly. And above both of you. Angels watching. Guiding. Standing guard. Not because of rituals. Not because of fear. But because God declared. This child will live the story I wrote. And no coffin, no jealousy, no shadow, no confusion, no human intention, can rewrite heaven's script. My child, I also want you to hold on to this truth, everything the enemy meant for sorrow. God is turning into wisdom, strength, testimony, and protection. Not just for your son. For you too. Because through this message, you have learned to sense spiritual shifts. You have learned to respond with faith, not fear. You have learned that prayer is not weakness, it is strategy. Heaven did not show you danger so you would break down. Heaven showed you so you could stand up. And you did. That is victory. Now as we truly finish, I want you to speak gently one last time, God, thank you for watching over my child. Thank you for blocking what I could not see. Thank you for loving him even more than I do. I choose peace. I choose trust. I choose rest. And I believe. His future is bright, opened, blessed, and guided. Take a slow breath. Feel how different your heart feels now, less heavy, less tense, more grounded. That is God's reassurance settling into you. My child, hear this closing promise. There will be days ahead when blessings surprise you. Moments when opportunities arrive unexpectedly. Seasons where everything begins to align beautifully. And when those moments come, you will remember this night, and you will say, that message wasn't just a warning. It was preparation for the blessings that followed. You are not losing. You are not late. You are not forgotten. Your son's destiny is unfolding. Your faith is maturing. Your story is still being written, beautifully. And the God who brought you here will walk with you the rest of the way. Rest now, my child. Peace has entered the story. Protection has taken its place. And the future is safely, lovingly held in God's hands.